Hi everybody. In this video I'm going to introduce you to the basics of consciousness. When we think about consciousness, a really good image to hold in our mind is that of an iceberg. Sigmund Freud created this metaphor, and it's an excellent way to think of our conscious mind. When we think of an iceberg, we can only see the tip of the iceberg above the surface of the ocean. There's a lot of the iceberg that is hidden out of sight. It's kind of dark and mysterious. And that's an excellent metaphor for what's going on in the three layers of our consciousness. Our mind is like an iceberg with different levels. The tip of the iceberg would be akin to our consciousness because we can see the tip of the iceberg. And because the thoughts we have in our conscious mind, we are aware of. We're actively thinking about them. The preconscious mind is akin to the part of the iceberg that is just beneath the waves of the ocean. We could kind of make it out. We could kind of see it. We could reach our hand beneath the waves of the ocean and we could touch that part of the iceberg. But we couldn't go all that far. We could reach down and we could touch, but we could never touch the bottom of the iceberg. The largest part of the iceberg is kind of dark and mysterious. It's uncharted territory. It's dangerous because you can't really see how big it is or where it's going. It's beneath the waves, deep down in a very dark, cold place. It's mysterious. It's akin to our unconscious mind because our unconscious mind is a little bit mysterious. It's full of things that we have no direct knowledge of. Things like fears and irrational wishes and shameful experiences. It's uncharted territory. When we think of our consciousness, like I said, it's the tip of the iceberg. We could see the tip of the iceberg. Our consciousness is knowing, or the possibility of knowing, what is happening inside and outside of ourselves. So what am I currently conscious of? Well, I'm currently conscious of the fact that I'm sitting here in C243, that the sunlight is streaming through the windows. The seat I'm sitting on is a little bit hard. The room I'm in is a little bit warm and stuffy. I'm conscious of the fact that I could hear the heater whirring in the background and the overhead projector making some minimal noise. And I'm conscious of the fact that I'm wearing these headphones on my ears and they're pinching just a little bit. I'm also conscious of the fact that every 2 or 3 minutes, somebody gets on the loudspeaker and interrupts me. So I'm conscious of that annoyance. What are you currently conscious of? What are you thinking about? What are you perceiving in the room around you? Take a minute to list a couple of things that you are conscious of. Waking conscious is a state in which our thoughts, feelings, and sensations are very clear and organized. We are very alert. We are very focused. We're not fatigued. We're not tired. This soldier is out on patrol. He's in waking consciousness because every part of him is focused on the task at hand. He's very alert and vigilant. He could hear the snap of a twig. He could see a shadow out of the corner of his eye. He's not tired. He's focused and in waking consciousness. Hopefully on May 1st, the day of the AP exam, you too will be in waking consciousness and all of your thoughts and sensations will be clear and organized so that you could focus and ace the exam. If we leave the tip of the iceberg and slip just beneath the surface of the water, we will find ourselves in the preconscious mind. Our preconscious contains things just below our present awareness, but we can recall them if we need to. That's why it's akin to the part of the iceberg that's just beneath the surface of the water. It's just below the water. We could kind of make it out. We could reach down and touch it if we wanted to. Our preconscious mind is akin to our long-term memory. In the same way that our conscious mind is akin to our short-term memory. So our preconscious mind contains memories and stored knowledge, episodes in our lives, facts we've learned in school. So right now I'm going to reach down into my preconscious mind and I'm going to take out a memory and I'm going to bring it up into my conscious mind so that I could think of it and share it with you. So in my preconscious mind is a memory of my first grade teacher, Mrs. Daigle. Also in my preconscious mind is a memory of what I did this past weekend. I took my kids to see a big holiday light display in Springfield, Massachusetts. Also in my preconscious mind is a lot of stored knowledge, like Abraham Lincoln was the 16th president of the United States, that Thomas Jefferson was the primary drafter of the Declaration of Independence. Take a minute and reach into your preconscious mind and pull out a couple of personal memories and a couple bits of stored knowledge. It was pretty easy to do that, wasn't it? We basically just had to transfer from long-term memory to short-term memory as we made it conscious. So our preconscious is easily accessible. Our unconscious is not. Our unconscious refers to the depths of the iceberg. It's really mysterious, uncharted territory. It contains thoughts and desires we have no direct knowledge of. The bottom of the iceberg is very dark, very cold. We don't know what lurks down there. And that's what our unconsciousness is like. Our unconscious mind is full of things that we don't want easily accessible. It's full of things that we don't want easily invading our thoughts. So fears and unacceptable desires, shameful experiences, immoral urges and irrational wishes, violent ideas and motives, we wouldn't want that easily accessible. We basically push it down as deep as we can beneath the surface of the ocean's waves. We don't have real direct knowledge of it. But some, like Sigmund Freud, felt that our unconscious really could motivate our conscious behavior. That we could do things and say things that we really didn't know why we were saying and doing them. They would be motivated by unconscious desires. So for instance, we might snap at our mother and be really mean and nasty to her and have no real idea why we were behaving in such a way. The motive for that behavior might come from something in our unconscious mind. We might call our current boyfriend by our ex-boyfriend's name. Now, it could be an innocent mistake, or it could be something in our unconscious mind motivating us to do that. Maybe we miss our ex-boyfriend. Maybe we desire to be with our ex-boyfriend. We wouldn't be conscious of the thought. It would be coming from our unconscious mind. As you're going to read about in this unit, Sigmund Freud felt that dreams were a window to our unconscious mind, and that dreams had two layers, a manifest content, which basically was the storyline of the dream, and the latent content, which was the true window to the unconscious mind. And what he wanted people to do was to peel back the symbolism, to try to figure out what we were truly dreaming about. We had to decode the symbols and figure out what the true hidden meaning of the dream was and how it represented unconscious desires that were trying to drive and motivate us. And once the unconscious was made conscious, then a lot of anxieties and issues would be resolved. In this unit, we will also be taking a look at altered states of consciousness. Altered states of consciousness are different than waking consciousness. In an altered state, our sensations, perceptions, and thought patterns actually change. When you're sleeping and you're in that sleep state or transitioning out of that sleep state, you might see things differently, perceive things differently. For instance, one time I had a very vivid dream that wolves were inside my bedroom. It was very real to me. My perception actually changed. So what I did was I jumped up on my bed, I banged my head on my ceiling fan, and I was screaming that wolves were in my bedroom. Because I was in an altered state, my perception changed. And in my mind, there really were wolves in my bedroom. When you're caught daydreaming in class, again, you're in an altered state. Your thought patterns actually change. Your sensations and perceptions change. The room kind of floats away. You may have no real awareness that the teacher has been calling your name for the past 2 minutes. You might have no real awareness that 10 minutes has elapsed. Because again, you're in an altered state of consciousness. When you hallucinate as the result of a high fever or because of taking psychoactive drugs, again, you're in an altered state of consciousness. You might see and hear things that do not exist. Hypnosis is believed by some to be an altered state of consciousness. When we are drunk and high and under the influence, again, that's an altered state of consciousness. We're going to see the world, perceive the world differently. You actually can also reach an altered state of consciousness through religious revival or religious exertion. So that's just a little introduction to the basics of what consciousness is. Over the course of this unit, we're going to explore the sleep cycle and various sleep disorders. We'll also take a look at two opposing theories of hypnosis. We'll also take a look at psychoactive drugs and how they impact our consciousness, as well as take a look at some conflicting theories as to why we dream.